This question is about acids and alkalis. Explain why the pH of an acid depends on the strength of the acid and the concentration of the acid. And we have 4 marks available for this question. The pH scale ranges between 0 and 14, with 7 in the middle being neutral, and acids having a pH less than 7, and alkalis having a pH greater than 7. And the pH value depends on the hydrogen ion concentration. And the higher the hydrogen ion concentration, the lower the pH will be, and the further to the left we will move. And in fact, it's a logarithmic scale, which means every pH value change of 1 is actually a 10 times greater hydrogen ion concentration. But that's probably a bit deeper than we need to go for this question. This question is asking us about the strength of the acid and the concentration of the acid. The strength of an acid or an alkali is in fact related to the extent of ionization of the molecule in solution. And so this means if we took an acid, for instance hydrochloric acid, it would ionize if we put it into water. And that means it would dissociate and fall apart into its component ions. And hydrochloric acid would dissociate into hydrogen ions and chloride ions. And all acids produce hydrogen ions. And the stronger the acid is, the greater the ionization will be. In other words, we will produce more hydrogen ions, and therefore we will have a greater hydrogen ion concentration. And so therefore, the stronger the acid, the lower the pH value of the solution. Concentration is related to the number of particles per unit volume, where a higher concentration has a greater number of particles per unit volume. And you can see that I'm showing that with my 2 diagrams here. The one on the left is shown with 5 particles in this volume, and the one on the right, which has got the same volume, has actually got 15 particles. So it's actually got 3 times the concentration as the one on the left. And for an acid, the higher the concentration of acid, we can say specifically the more acid we will have in the same volume. And when you've got a higher concentration of acid, these greater number of acid particles will dissociate and ionize, and we will result in having a greater hydrogen ion concentration, and that will therefore mean that we have got a lower pH for our acid. You can see I've written 6 bullet points here. We wouldn't need to say all of them for our 4 marks. It's to do with the coherency of our explanation overall. As a bare minimum, we would need to say one of the bullet points from each of my 3 sections. My preferred numbers would be to have both of the first 2 and then to say the second in each of my pairs if you only wanted to remember 4 of these 6 bullet points. A student titrated 25 cubic centimetres of hydrochloric acid with 0.1 moles per decimetre cubed barium hydroxide solution. This means that they would have put the hydrochloric acid into a conical flask with 4 or 5 drops of a suitable indicator, and the barium hydroxide would be in a burette above the conical flask. The table below shows the results. We can see that we've got 5 different titrations carried out, and the volume of barium hydroxide solution used each time to make the indicator change colour is shown in each case. The student calculated the volume of barium hydroxide solution to be used in the titration as 23.50 cm cubed. And we've been commanded to explain why the student used a volume of 23.5 cm cubed of barium hydroxide solution. When you analyse the results of a titration, you need to look for the titration results that agree with each other, and these titrations are referred to as concordant. And concordant values are values that are within 0.1 cm cubed of each other. And this first one is much higher than the other four. Typically, the first one that you do is a rough titration, usually larger than the others, and that's the case here. Numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all concordant because they are all within 0.1 of each other. The smallest and the largest has a range of 0.1. And so what you do is you work out a mean titration value by adding up all four of those numbers and dividing it by the number that there are, making sure you get rid of any anomalies, any results that are not concordant. And that's how we arrived at 23.5 in this case. 25 cubic centimetres of hydrochloric acid reacted with 23.5 cubic centimetres of 0.1 moles per decimetre cubed barium hydroxide solution. And the 25 cm cubed of hydrochloric acid will have been measured with a pipette and put into the conical flask with some indicator, and the barium hydroxide must have been in the burette and added from the burette to the conical flask with thorough mixing. And we know that it must be this way around because the volume of barium hydroxide is very precisely 23.5, and we need to use a burette in order to measure that specific volume accurately. And the equation for the reaction is 2 HCl reacts with 1 barium hydroxide. It doesn't show us the 1, but there's no number, so we know it's a 1. And it turns into BaCl2 plus 2 H2O. And we've been asked to calculate the concentration of the hydrochloric acid in moles per decimetre cubed. When working with solutions in titration analysis like this, we need to always use the relationship moles of solution is equal to concentration multiplied by volume. And those volumes need to be in dm cubed. And so my advice would be, where we've been given volumes in cm cubed, we convert both of them into dm cubed by dividing by 1000. And we need to also note the fact that our concentration for the hydrochloric acid that we're being asked to calculate is in moles per decimetre cubed. And that tells us that the final thing we need to do is take the moles of hydrochloric acid and divide it by the dm cubed of hydrochloric acid. In other words, its volume. And titration analysis always follows the same 3 steps. In step 1, you work out the moles of the first chemical, and that chemical is the one that you know the concentration on the volume for. And then in step 2, you work out the moles of the second chemical by using the ratio from the equation. And then in the final step, you work out the concentration of this second chemical by taking the moles and dividing it by its volume. And so for us here, we know the concentration and the volume of the barium hydroxide added from the burette. And so this is chemical number 1. And so we work out the moles of barium hydroxide by taking its concentration, 0.1, and multiplying it by its volume in dm cubed, 0.0235, and we get 0.00235 moles of barium hydroxide. And then for step 2, we need to look at the ratio. 2 HCl react with 1 barium hydroxide. And this tells us however many moles of barium hydroxide we're using, we will need twice the number of moles of hydrochloric acid. And so what we need to do is take the moles of barium hydroxide that we calculated in step 1 and simply multiply it by 2. And so this gets us 0.0047 moles of HCl present in that conical flask. And then when we're finding the concentration of HCl, we are again using moles equals concentration multiplied by volume in dm cubed. And so if we substitute in the numbers that we know, the moles of HCl is 0.0047, and that is equal to the concentration, which is what we're trying to find out, multiplied by the volume in dm cubed, which is 0.025. And so therefore we can rearrange this expression to get the HCl concentration as being equal to 0.0047 divided by 0.025, which gives us a final concentration of hydrochloric acid of 0.188. We would get 1 mark for the moles of barium hydroxide, 1 mark for the moles of HCl, 1 mark for the concentration expression set out, and the final mark for the concentration of hydrochloric acid. And if we made the mistake somewhere along the way, we would get what's called error carried forward if we'd used an incorrect value correctly at a later stage. Another student titrated sulfuric acid with barium hydroxide solution, and the equation for the reaction is H2SO4, aqueous, plus barium hydroxide, aqueous, reacts to produce BaSO4, solid, plus H2O, liquid. And the student measured the electrical conductivity of the mixture during the titration. And we're told that the better a conductor is, the higher the electrical conductivity value. And the results are shown in a graph here. We've got the volume of barium hydroxide solution that has been added in cm cubed, and the electrical conductivity in arbitrary units is shown on the y-axis here. And we've been asked to explain why the electrical conductivity of the mixture was 0 when the sulfuric acid had just been neutralised. And we've been asked to use the equation for the reaction for our answer, and we've been asked to refer to ions in our answer. Well, I think that the best way to explain why the mixture's conductivity has dropped to 0 is to first look at why it wasn't 0 at first. Because we are working with solutions, we need to recognise that aqueous solutions are actually made up from ionic compounds that have ionised when you put them into water and they dissolve. And so in aqueous solutions, the ions are free to move and they move through the solution and they carry charge when they do so. So H2SO4 is made up of the ions hydrogen, 2 of them, and SO4, 2-. And so these will have been in the solution at first. And then at the point of mixing, we would also have had barium ions and hydroxide ions. So all of these ions would be free to move through the solution and carry charge. But when they start to react together, the hydrogen ions will react with the hydroxide ions and they will produce water. And water is a covalent substance. It's made up of molecules, and so it has no charge. And the barium ions will react with the sulfate ions and produce a solid, which will look like a white precipitate that forms during this titration. And this means that we've made an insoluble solid. So as a result of these two reactions, there are no ions in this solution that are free to move around. The only ions that are in fact present are in the barium sulfate, and they are trapped as a solid BaSO4 white precipitate. And then the final part of this question says that the student added a further 10 cm cubed of barium hydroxide solution, and the electrical conductivity of the mixture increased again. Give one reason why. Well, we said that at the point of neutralisation, all of the ions from the acid had been precisely neutralised by all of the ions from the hydroxide, whereas now we have an excess of barium hydroxide solution, and this solution contains ions. And so specifically, our mixture will now have barium ions and hydroxide ions that are free to move through this solution and carry charge. Okay, that's the end of this video. Thanks for listening.